such a threat. Aspect will not be able to match it. Till has now finally hit 6 off that last wave, and Anda going to help shove this one in to 5 fire. Henry's. They're just going to go for Dragon. Okay.
You have to love it. 5 fire has not backed once this game. This is 0 reset 5 fire. Finally, we'll see it.
Cast from Viper. A little bit wide. There it is. All right, at least we know Viper's in good spirits still. Cask hits 50 feet away. Just like, I just wanted to give it back to you, man. I feel like it was wrong of me to take that from you.
Hi, I'm Viper and I respect private property. Throwing it like a UPS driver. Vaguely accurate. And yet definitely not on target.
Very damaging to gets inside. Surdy. Doing a good job hanging into this lane. You know, we talked about mostly how Surdy is able to convert leads early on, but as someone who ends up playing like a good weak side top lane, just great job here. Has a CS lead early on. Not going to be taking these heavy engages, not going to be going for the all-ins, because you're waiting for Shiro, you're waiting for Aspect, you're waiting for that late game. Uh-oh.
Stun found, and on the flank. Huge spear! Aspect will blow Anda away. Flash to chase. 5 fire over the wall. Tomio is in the area, will land the sleep, and that will save Aspect. The blast cone. Yet EGP's mid laner out alive.
You know, TJ, that was a beautiful escape there, thanks to Tomio. I was double-checking the moment I saw that health bar. I'm like, value is on Xayah, right? There's no jinx in this map. Always terrifying. And able to pick up that Cloud Drake. No Org off to an objective victory.
Yeah. Really good rotations from No Org. You don't get the kill, that sucks, but not only did they get the Drake, 5 fire is getting aggressive, trying to bully Tomio back because they know Tomio is down on rotations, doesn't have the ultimate to punish that aggression. Really, really well played from No Org. You know, this is what we're talking about. You give them an inch, they take an inch.
Sure. I really feel like after watching 5 fire steal away the Raptors, after this set of series that we've seen, the Raptors need like a workers' union or something. This is workplace abuse.
Rough times. Rotate around this. EGP would like to be able to grab this Rift Herald. No Org do have big here, TP in from across the map. That's going to be 5 fire arriving in this fight.
Mist escapes with their life. No ultimate available for either Shiro or Mist, so this would be a difficult contest running into 2 people with ultimates.
Aspect spotted out in the bush.
Yep.
Control ward is down, so this is relatively safe. No Org again, playing their map very well. Value rotates up here as well. And this should be, as big zones off the engage, a very clean Rift Herald take.
They're going to be rotating this up towards the top side. Decided better of that when they realized, hey, there's people up here. 5 fire. Looking for the engage in the meantime, in the mid lane onto Aspect.
Yeah, this is just the kind of very clean play that makes everyone enjoy watching No Org games. One of the reasons why I think No Org is one of the contenders to win this. I'm going to say it now so that I can be flamed on Twitter later. But No Org are absolutely in my top 3 hero proving grounds.
Yeah, they've won every single competition they've entered so far. Like, every single one, first place.
Do not have them on your list as top teams hero proving grounds? I don't know. You're entitled to your opinion, I guess, but I disagree.
Wow. Strong words, TJ.
I've been practicing moderation.
There you go. Always good. Tomio trying to get a little bit aggressive there. Vision. We'll be able to make it out of there with the Scuttle Crab in hand. Anda still has this Rift Herald. Clears out that control ward. And this is the pace of a No Org game. It's really just...
We're playing some good League of Legends here. Because you can see, the early game gold lead that was so strong for EGP as they won basically every lane off the bat has shrunken considerably. And there is basically a gold in pocket in the form of that Rift Herald that is presumably, unless the play gets countered, going to get NoOrg a couple thousand more gold. And presumably, it's going to be used around the next Drake, which again would not only be the gold for the Drake itself, but also the second of the second Drake. That didn't make any sense. The second of two Drakes.
There you go.
Putting them on their way to the Drake Soul win condition.
There goes the Virtual drop down solo bot here for value. Oh.
Oh no, is he going to get the gold? I think so. It's just missed here up front, so... Gold onto value, what they wanted. Rift Herald will die. Weakens that bot side, sets up for the Drake.
Fire keeps going in on these engages and Aspect trading back about 50-50, but if you can get Aspect low enough, you can all in with dominance, and I think that's what Fire's looking for at this point. Top lane's just going great for EGP, though. No complaints there from them.
Surdy's doing well, but Viper hasn't arrived in mid-game teamfight form yet, right? And that is what you need to be watching out for. First item Viper is a hell of a lot more scary than lane Viper.
True. Viper getting a little bit of damage there from Surdy, though.
That was nasty.
Heals it back up. Man, Silas, trading against Silas feels so bad, because you're like, man, I got so much damage on it, I'm so good. And then Silas hits W and heals like a third HP.
Silas read him like a book. Or sorry, Surdy read him like a book.
Turn to the library. Here comes Fire. Looks for the engage. Aspect so low. Big's looking for it, but there's the flash out. Big's in trouble. Taunt. First blood goes down in favor of Surdy. Tomio looks for the sleep. Finds it onto Fire. But Tomio goes down. Fire flashes over the wall. Survives. Shiro goes in. Killer Instinct can't find it. Meanwhile, Value finds the first tower bot.
Oh, dear Lord. A tale of two tragedies. Big oversteps, hard chasing the kill, dies underneath the turret, and Tomio does exactly the same thing, trying to burn down the Renekton. Sure, it's mid-Renekton, but he's still a beefy boy, and during that time, of course, as you say, the bot lane turret is getting taken down. Here's the early engage.
This was Fire nearly just one-shotting Aspect, and then Big bites off a little bit more than he can chew there. I respect the hustle, however. And NoOrg, all respect given, find a return kill. Fire somehow survives with the heals, flashes out, and then just continues to live. As you can see, Shiro, Akathi, and Rain all landed on Viper.
That was actually Value's heal there, if I'm not mistaken. No, he's still got enough. I do not know where that burst of healing came from, then.
Empowered Q is a hell of a drug, man. It does so much healing, and there goes. Aspects down. Big and Fire enough to break this game open. That one fight. This is how NoOrg plays. You find one fight, you're like, we got this one. And from there, they'll find another play, and they'll chain it to the point where you're staring down the barrel of a gun, essentially. This is going to be a 23-minute soul, potentially, from NoOrg, and EGP are not in a position to contest it yet.
Yep, that Drake fight goes their way because of the mid lane fight. It's, ostensibly an even trade, but the jungler dies. And that means NoOrg can just take the Drake for free. EGP don't have a hope of contesting it. A fact they know and a fact they act on.
Shiro does get to catch that mid-wave. Been feeling for Value this game, not because he's having a bad time or anything, but as an AD carry who often gets left for large swaths of time in the bottom lane to do nothing but farm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's lonely, TJ. Uh-oh.
Oh, Viper steals away the sleep. Will not be able to do anything with it, though, and Mist finds the immediate return. Viper calls for aid. Here comes Fire. Dominus popped.
There's the ultimate from Mist as well, doing as much to dissuade the CC as possible, but Mist will fall. NoOrg lose nobody. Slight overcommittal there from EG Prodigies.
Medium rare. Mist goes down, and this is going to unlock things because, again, NoOrg play this map so efficiently. They manage to get the kill onto the support, and they say, that means we can take a few cracks at this turret. That means we can force you to rotate players in to defend it. Which they do. EGP read the map, say, okay, we need to put 4 players in mid, and Noorg, as ever, are still, you know, playing the rest of the map in addendum. Not only is there a hard shove out topside for Viper, but you also have this roam for Big into the jungle to cut off the rotation, so Viper is guaranteed to get more turret damage. And now once the response is there on the top side to that threat from Viper, guess what's going on, Matt? It's the Rift Herald being taken. Noorg, just do not stop.
Now Viper in a little bit of trouble. 2-0 though, so not that much. There's the sleep, comes down, and is here as well. Viper finds the re-engage, not going to quite finish the dive. Surdy survives the burst of Anda.
Very well played. Firefire in trouble across the map, though. Aspect will be able to shut it down. A mid-lane jewel.
And they're going to be popping the Rift Herald potentially. No! Set decides to save it. Very low tower, don't need to. Got some time left on that cooldown, so I'm going to be watching where that second Herald goes. Because the only place I can think of is mid at the moment, obviously the last outer tower standing, but you need to find an opportunity to do that, and knowing Noorg, they'll make it happen.
You are correct. At some point, he will press the 4 button on his keyboard, Matt.
Is that really the default binding of Trinket?
Yeah.
Huh. I use T because I have items on 1, 2, 3, 4. I learned something new today.
I'm bewildered, but okay. Yes, I also have items on 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what it is. It's an item. Okay. We're gonna.
You said 4 was the hotkey for the Herald. That's not an item.
Yeah. The trinket. It's the word. It's in the 4th slot.
That is a weird setup. I changed it the moment it came out, so I haven't remembered because it's been like 4 years.
I also put flash on D, so I know I'm wrong about some things. But
oh, yeah. Oh. Wouldn't admit to that on a live broadcast, but you know what? You do you.
I had to balance out. Drake is coming up. This is presumably what we use the Rift Herald for. 4 being the operative phrase is the button that will be pushed. Teamfight wise, there is a lead gold. Wow, there is a gold lead in Noorg's pocket, and that will give them a teamfight advantage as well as their composition. So this needs to be a good engage from EGP. I'm looking for them to be able to stop Viper, stop Anda, stop Firefire early on.
Mist finds the engage. There's the taunt in response from Big. Lots of damage down onto Aspect. Gets taken down by Big. Shiro still free-firing in the back, though. 30 looking for a re-engage. Tomio, seconds from falling, finally does. But Shiro still up. Cannot find Firefire. The healing from Noorg keeps everyone alive. And now EGP, Shiro, tail between his legs, will have to back off to that inner tower.
And this is such a Noorg play. They do not need to turn immediately for the dragon. They will send Anda to do that. And the rest of the team, they're going to be here in mid, taking 2 turrets. Maximum efficiency. Such good capitalization on the opportunity. And they're even going to get another charge off, I believe. Drake picked up 3rd of the game. Sole point. 2 turrets taken.
This is Noorg's game by all accounts. I do think there is the opportunity for EGP to come back into it, but let's take a look at this fight again. There it is.
And caught out here, which is the right call. Mist finds the right target. But nobody's on value. So they're just chilling here. Finally, Surdy tries to find the engage, and Value's had the Featherstorm this entire time. Featherstorm's the explosive cask, ends the fight. Firefire cannot die in the front lines.
Yeah, that healing from Firefire was so ridiculous. You just have such a health lead from having your lane go well, from having those levels, and there isn't enough damage on EGP to do anything about it. You know, you have 1 item on Aspect, you have 1 item on Shiro, but between the 2 of them, with the front lines that are coming out, with heals from Anda, there is so little you can do to actually burst Firefire down with those heals.
Viper will be scared back here on the top side by Aspect. And that is what EGP still do have going for them. If we go late, you have both Shiro and Aspect who are scary on these AD carry characters.
They
But
they have the
it is
scaling
not
in their
looking that
pocket.
way.
Yeah, 100%.
On the flank, the Dark Seals, bought for both Anda and Viper, and scaling in both cases. Neither player has died yet. I obviously need to flag the fact that Aspect has now a 5 assist count, decent amount of gold in the pocket. That's going to be a very strong secondary carry. There's just so much skirmish potential on No Org. They have a lot of damage across the board, and comps like this are sometimes dangerous because if you don't get off to a strong start, they can be shut down. They did get off to a strong start, a very cleverly played strong start. And at this point, they just need to clear the runway before they run out of it, which is, what, 40-minute mark?
Yeah, somewhere around there, at least 35. Aspect looking for a little bit more damage. Finds some on the big, goes in for the re-engage. Too much bitten off there. Viper finds the kill. And that will be their cue to look for more here for No Org.
Big guiding him in. Aspect steps into the chocolate factory. Thinks it's going to be a good time, and Willy Wonka turns him into a giant pack of chewing gum or something.
Blueberry.
It's an extended analogy. Here come EGP trying to contest this Baron. They just can't.
They've got nothing here. Viper's doing the damage on the Surdy, who could engage, but nothing to follow up. There's 5 fire from the flank. They might not even need Baron this game. Shiro in a lot of trouble. There comes the hero's entrance onto Mist. They're going to find the knockups to follow up. But 5 fire, not quite enough damage. Shiro pounding away with that Acathian Rain. Mist, 1 hit from dead. There it goes. Shiro once again,
big.
Last one standing.
I think that's Big's 3rd kill of the game. Shout out to Galio's support. It is a lot of fun, and Big has been doing an incredible job on it. Running the Sorcerer's Boots. That's a fun time.
Oh my god. I have a newfound respect for Big. Already thought he was a fantastic support. Now I know. Also, very confident.
When he's playing like this, you could say he's big.
Giant.
Large.
That's right.
Have you seen that photoshopped photo of the entire No Org team, and Big has just been stretched to take up half of the foot?
That's amazing. Someone said that to me. That sounds fantastic.
You'll receive it. It goes around. Here's the team fight. There's just no way EGP win it at this point. Viper's on the front lines. He can do that because he's stolen away Alistair ult, and so nobody can challenge. Viper's, distracted. Is minding his own business on the bottom side of the map, realizes, oh wait, we're team fighting. Steps up into this, and it's pretty easy to clean up.
Yeah,
it's hard for EGP because you can see that they do have, you can see Sharon's doing decent damage, as is Aspect. But you can see that they're just so far behind, right? Doesn't matter if you're dealing decent damage to 5 fire.
Yeah, Big in a little bit of trouble, but there goes the main engage in the front. Falyu finds Surdy. Aspect on the run on the right side of the fight on the left side. Meanwhile, Tomio just getting dumped down by 5 fire. Mist now in trouble. Aspect finally falls thanks to Anda. No Org have found the ace. 24 minutes in, No Org have found a victory in game number 1. 20 seconds left on the death timers of all of Evil Geniuses. No Org find a quick, clean, surgical victory.
And this is what they do. This is why No Org should be top of your list for teams that could take this entire tournament. There is never a moment of risk. There is never a moment that looks risky or dangerous at all for them. They control the game, play to their win conditions, and end it very, very cleanly.
Yeah, it often feels
Still
like on a micro level, No Org just sit there for so long. They're biding their time, and they're waiting, and then the moment they see their first play, that's when the game starts to end. And I think going into game number 2, what I would like to see from EG is the only time I've seen No Org begin to falter is if they get taken off their plans. If they're not the ones setting up for fights, if they're not the ones deciding the game flow, they can get put off on the back foot. All it takes, one good push to topple them over.
Yeah, so No Org do a thing going into the game with their draft where they decide what their optimal engage time is. They know what they're waiting for as their trigger. In that last game, it is, okay, we're going to fight for the first strike. We need, first item, we need a decent amount of damage on our mid and bot lane to feel comfortable doing that. The advantage of that is you have time to work with until they feel comfortable. So if you can play around that, and there's two ways you can do that. There's two ways we've seen teams succeed into No Org's ability to define their engage timing. Is one, you don't fight them on their engage timing. You say, okay, we're playing late games, we're just not going to take any of these early fights, No Org. We're going to hold you back from building too much of an advantage, but we're going to let you control the map, and we'll swing back in the late game. The other one is challenging them during that time when they're trying to set up, being able to be risky early. But if you're going toe-to-toe with No Org and you don't have exactly as firm an idea as they do of what their win conditions are, when they're going to pull the trigger, it's a recipe for disaster.
Stop the setup, stop the push. You'll find a way to stop No Org, but otherwise, it's going to be a quick 2-0 for them. We'll see if EG Prodigies can bite back in game number 2. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ready
Game
for
two.
game number 2. Yeah, that's the thing I was saying. Thanks, TJ.
I said it first.
All right, fine. You want to talk about game 2? How about I'll take game 1
I
then.
absolutely do.
I'll talk about game 1 then. You can talk about game number 2.
Oh, yeah.
Got a highlight package coming for you. The key to this game was really that NoOrg just bid their time until they had these explosive team fights, fight after fight. And the way they had set up their team fight, the way they had set up for this, there was nothing that EG could do. Shiro was pumping out damage the whole time, but the positioning of NoOrg was such that it didn't matter.
Yeah. And, okay, I'm going to talk about game 2 now, because talking about game 1 is for nerds. EGP demonstrated that they have the potential to carry in game 1. Damn, I did it. They have the potential for both their carries to show up. They do have mechanical talent. They did have a very good draft. What went wrong was just the team fighting, the macro movement that NoOrg is so good at. That one sequence where they won a fight and then turned it into a top turret, a Rift Herald, and then reset so that they were in position for the Drake. That's the kind of stuff that Academy teams struggle with, and it's one of the reasons why NoOrg is, to be frank, one of my favorites to win this entire tournament. They play the map so well, and if EGP want to contest that, if you're an Evil Genius Prodigies player and you want to be able to go toe-to-toe, the answer isn't even about the team fighting. I think they were doing pretty well. It's about the time between the team fights when a team like NoOrg is consistently going to be getting 1.5 times the value that you are.
Yeah, I think for me, looking at that game, the most interesting aspect was that NoOrg, that sort of persistence went down to a very micro level. It wasn't just that they took a fight and then were like, all right, cool, Herald and top, I guess. It was that even before those fights, the little decisions they were making, we remember pointing out early in the game, Fire, instead of backing, waited and went off to the side, and then waited.
And he he got like 2 extra waves.
Got 2 extra waves, set up for Anda to make more movement, set up for Anda to make more vision, and it's those little things that snowball to the later stages of the game. Those little tiny, almost invisible plays that make such a huge difference and are the core of NoOrg's playstyle.
I'm sure you're familiar with the idea of a comedian's comedian, someone who tells jokes that are more funny to other comedians who understand the process of writing jokes.
Yeah.
NoOrg, I feel, are a little bit of a caster's team, where they can be kind of boring to watch if you're here for the team fights. They oftentimes aren't going for those. But if you are just looking for a team that is making the best possible decision at every single possible instance, they kind of do that, and I get a real kick out of watching it. Their decisions around what to do with leads, what to do with tempo advantages are my favorite. The way they're constantly able to capitalize on, okay, we want a team fight, we have the Rift Herald. Some teams throw down the Rift Herald. They will always take what they can before they deploy the Rift Herald, because they know they can get more gold out that way. It's really clever play.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing for me as well, NoOrg are not resting on their laurels either. They're not massively changing their style, sure, because the broad strokes of their style are going to work against any opponent. You good?
Give me a bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
All right.
I gave you one earlier.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's allergy season. What can I say?
Same. NoOrg come into these plays, and they are so tenacious about it, but they are changing up the way things work. Viper, yes, is always going to be that strong top laner. There's nothing he can do about it. He's just that good. But for Fire's champion pool, for example, this game they pulled out the Renekton mid. That is not something that they're like known for or anything. Fire was just like, okay, let's try something new. Let's try something different. Let's see the number of combinations we can work with, the kinds of parameters around which we can play. And it's looking like they're going to try out all of them eventually. So I'm looking forward to seeing those kinds of adjustments in Game 2 as well.
Also, can I talk about Big? He's such a large presence on the map. He's gigantic, man. The way he was playing Galio was just everything I love. I am a support Galio advocate. Matt knows this. That is a very blue cup. And the fact that he's able to like demonstrate everything I love about support Galio in that game fills me with joy. Hard engages early and late. Very good at that. Denies the opportunity for somebody like a Tristana to access the backline. Very good at that, because the AoE taunt just zones you off of a hard dive. Also, once you hit mid-game, always going to have a 5th man in teamfights. Very good at that. The only downside to a support Galio is versus a standard tank, you kind of run out of runway going super late. Support Galio doesn't have a great time in 30-plus minute games, but they don't intend to play those.
Yeah, I think if we're looking at evil geniuses, though, because it does need to come around to how do evil geniuses fight their way back. There's 2 avenues that I see, and they tried the first thing that comes to mind, which is you can outscale them. NoOrg, unfortunately, will capitalize on that period where they are just stronger than you, and there's nothing you can do. You cannot wait for that 35-minute.
I want to flag that they fought into that period, because I think that's important, right? And I think it's partially because it wasn't a full-on scaling comp that, EGP were hoping to win mid-game teamfights. But there was a window where NoOrg were stronger in the 5v5, and they knew it, and they forced the fight. So if you are going to play a composition that is stronger later in the game than NoOrg, you have to be prepared to lose ground early. You have to be prepared to not take some of the fights you want to take. Mm-hmm. And if you're not willing to, take trades as best you can, and lose objectives, lose some gold, then NoOrg are, of course, going to win, because they're going to force the right team fights and execute on them flawlessly.
It's very dominant macro is the big thing. Yeah. And the ways you can play into that is, of course, match their macro, but if you're not comfortable with trying that, if you're not comfortable saying, we can outthink them at every step of the way, and I wouldn't blame you if that's the case. I think another angle that you can come at it from is, how do we upset them? How do we be proactive in a way that stops them from setting up? How do we just have enough velocity of play that they
want an early game comp?
Yeah.
You want a rush down early game comp.
And the thing is, yes, that would work, but it doesn't necessarily have to just be early game. It's anything where you can say, at this time, we're going to do this, and NoOrg's going to have to either fight it or give it to us. That's their options.
So, to be clear, I think I'm much less down for the early game comp than you are. What I specifically want to see is something earlier from Tomio. Tomio plays a very, very good Hecarim. That got banned out very sensibly by NoOrg, but if we can find a way to get that through, for instance, I want to see earlier presence from Tomio, because we have, Shiro, who's so good, played a darn good Kai'Sa this game, never had a team fight to succeed in, because by the time this Kai'Sa was doing damage, the game was over. If you can get Tomio forcing Shiro to have earlier relevance in the game, I think that makes a difference.
Yeah. That was really one of the downfalls last game, right? You have that Gale Force Kai'Sa. What's she doing? Everyone else has 2 items. NoOrg is an unstoppable brick wall. You have brick, you have big, not brick. You have big, you have 5 fire.
Bricks
and they have these massive health bars. You're going Gale Force with a serrated Dirk. You cannot chew through big health bars, but you don't have the items to do anything about that. So... there's just a lot of little things, and the little things are where you have to look going forward.
It's a lot of it's just overwhelming to play against a team like NoOrg, which is why the amateur scene has struggled to deal with them all season long, and why the academy teams are struggling to deal with NoOrg as well. They are one of the best teams in this tournament. I've said repeatedly that I think they are my favorites to win it. Or one of my favorites. I hedge my bets, but that's how I really feel. And I do want to start that broader conversation. I think a lot of people are riding very well on C9 right now. C9 Academy, whom we saw earlier today, are the best team in Academy by the numbers. I do think people are underestimating Golden Guardians, though, down in the lower bracket. Yeah. Golden Guardians Academy have looked so much better in the second half of this season.
That's the kind of things that I love to see. Golden Guardians, we saw their last matchup, we mentioned it in Series 1, against NoOrg. That was the big barometer for me of that team's growth, because our first exposure to them was their first series against NoOrg this season. And they got smashed. They got absolutely just blown out of that series. We were lucky enough to cast that rematch here in Proving Grounds, and it was damn close. Yeah, Noorg took the 2-0, but Golden Guardians were fighting and scrapping and taking every inch that they could along the way, and it was closer by far than the scoreline suggests. And that is what makes me excited about them.
So the barometer we're looking for is still here on Noorg, I think. And if they win out this series, then they play C9 in the upper bracket finals. And that will be a deciding influence on the entire rest of the tournament. I think, because if Noorg wins that, then all of a sudden you're maybe comparing Golden Guardians to C9 Academy and talking through the math. This is a really fun tournament for that reason. I really do think that Proving Grounds has uncovered quite a lot of not just mechanical talent, which a lot of people expected in the amateur scene, where you are expecting someone to just show up and be a nutty 16-year-old who's able to press buttons faster than anyone has ever seen before. But also, Proving Grounds is showing a lot of really good tactical experimentation happening, not just in the amateur teams, but in the academy teams as well. There's been a lot of really good evolution here.
That's my favorite thing, especially when you have these multiple region tournaments, right? You see it with MSI, you see it with every international tournament ever, because different regions have different styles, but it turns out...
Are you saying amateur is a different region?
No. But they develop their styles very disparately from Academy. Until the Proving Grounds circuit came in, they were incredibly separate. And what ended up happening was you have a lot of teams who are competing at the same level that have incredibly disparate styles, different ways to find the same goal. When you get to the higher level, when you get to leagues like LCS, like LPL, LCK, a lot of times you see homogenization of strategies.
Yeah.
And you'll see, oh, okay, this team is slightly more aggressive than this one is more focused on slow scaling games. But then in amateur, you'll have a team that always goes for the late game no matter what. And you'll have another team who's like, if we don't have 10 kills within 5 minutes, we're about to lose the game. The world is ending. Let's go.
That's a call out. I think Sorry, that's a sub-tweet. I'm down with my Zoomer lingo. I think the most exciting thing about Academy this season, though, is that we have seen so much evolution there as well. There was such a refresh coming into the season. You had teams like Team Liquid completely resetting their coaching staff. A lot of shuffling there, a lot of new voices coming into the room. And I think that led to an Academy season this split that was so much more dynamic and aggressive. You're watching these teams take risks, play aggressively, try new things. The common accusation that was thrown around in years previously was that Academy didn't feel like a developmental league. This year, 100%, no argument to be made. You had so many young players coming into these teams and like visibly improving over the course of a couple of weeks. Rosethorn was the one we talked about most because he was a player we felt personally invested in, but we have numerous examples of that, where it's a player that played here in amateur, looked good, clearly mechanically talented, but lacking some obvious parts of their team play, lacking some obvious parts of just the education necessary to play at the pro level, and getting to see these players integrate into the academy teams and so obviously benefit from it, and the academy teams so obviously benefit from the young blood. Well, it's exactly what the system's supposed to do. And I think it's a very promising sign for the North American League's future.
Yeah, I think also the regional unlock for the Oceania League with the dissolution of the OPL was a huge catalyst for a lot of this change. I think, like, my favorite thing has been seeing all these hyper-aggressive players just coming in and being like, I'm mad. My region is gone. It's a part of NA now. I'm going to teach you guys a lesson. I'm going to come in here. This is my region now. I'm going to show you why. And it's been so fun. It's been so fun seeing all these aggressive strategies come in, these aggressive players just going for it, man. Just absolutely going for it. And that's my favorite League of Legends is when people are constantly making these proactive, aggressive plays. And that is a lot of what the OPL players have brought to North America.
I've really liked that. And I am still I always like the OPL and OCS broadcasts. As you may be able to tell, they sync up a little bit with the way I like to broadcast League of Legends. So I'll tune in and catch some games, and they still have, in the OCS, like, aggressive star players. I think that is going to continue to be a very dynamic read. So I'm looking forward to it. This concludes the TJ and Iberia podcast. We are ready to go with the draft. Game number 2. Ready to kick off here as No Org play Evil Geniuses.
Pick ban exactly the same. I thought we just went back in time for a second, TJ. A little bit concerned about that, but there's the Gnar ban. I think so far this is good. I don't think anything No Org played last game was particularly ban-worthy in terms of, oh my god, that changed the game so much. That was the problem. I think a lot of it is just, what do EG want to bring more than what do they want to stop No Org from bringing.
Yeah, I liked their draft during Game 1. Like I said, my one note is I want to see Tomio be able to get a little more aggressive. I want early lane presence from Tomio. I want him to enable Shiro. Those are the Tomio Shiro story, I think, is definitive for EGP.
Yeah.
And if we don't see it, we're going to be sad.
I know it's not his favorite, but I would like to see Tomio maybe on something like an Udyr that does have that early impact. Redacting ban, okay, I can see that. Take it away from Fire, take it away from
No
Viper.
Hecarim ban.
Yep. Still available.
Was banned out in the last time, but the double ban focus over towards topside has changed that. Don't do this to me. It's Udyr as the first pick.
One falling for it.
Yeah.
Does leave the Hecarim open. So Tomio we know is a good Hecarim. I'd like to see that one picked up. I think also if you want to grab something for your mid lane, for your support, I think those are two places that I want to see some priority put. Because we know Shiro can play pretty much anything. You know, 9 champions the last 10 games, has performed well on all of them. Of course, the pentakill on Samira versus Winthrop University will be cool to see again, but Shiro doesn't need it.
We get the Lilia,
Okay.
which does still provide early presence, and we're going to shift down towards the bottom side. You're right that Shiro doesn't need first pick, but getting them something like a Tristana early on is obviously a win if this Tristana is not flexed around, which the Tristana can be.
Was last game, so I'm gonna by default assume that's Aspect, but this may be exactly what the draft is trying to make me do. So,
or is that what they want you to think?
I'm sure it is. That's the problem. It's the problem with prediction. I was thinking that was a hover for Jungle Lux, and I was like, do it.
It was really late on the timer, so I was just sketched out generally.
They would really be trying something new then.
I'd be psyched. What was it, 1 season ago? 2 seasons ago? We had like a wave of Lux support?
Lux, yeah.
Yeah.
With,
LPL was doing it. I was having
Guardian.
a great time. Instead, we get things that are not great times. It is going to be a set of Tomcatch lanes, so buckle up, boys. No Org have said they would like to win the late game, and by God, they shall.
Yeah. So, EG don't want him to get there. Of course, that is going to be the Tristana flexed over to Aspect. Shiro did secure the Ezreal this time. That was what was banned out last time. Having that ability to peel back, having that mid-game spike.
So it does
TJ.
give them kind of the range jewel in the bot lane. Like, the Ezreal can go toe-to-toe and poke out the Senna, which is very important. But I don't think I'm seeing the magic team fight for EG. You obviously have the Muramana spike in the mid-game that can sync up with Tristana coming online, but I need some engage for this team, because unless you're relying on Tomio landing several man sleeps, that doesn't feel great. Victor, Jace, the bans. No Org denied scaling in their mid lane and poke in their top lane. I think that mid lane scaling is a very intelligent ban out for EGP, just because that's the way Fire is probably looking with this Sana TK bot line.
Gnar, Jace, both taken away from Viper. Those are his 2 signature picks, I'd say, this season. Jace has been a really strong bully pick for him, and Gnar has just been that crazy team fighting pick. The Kali ban very interesting.
Yeah. Couple of places that could have been drawn by, but I imagine it's Surti.
Yeah.
And
Playstyle-wise, I'd say so, yeah.
Surti has played Akali in the past. And it maybe just is because they are worried about the backline. They're going to drop Senna, presumably a different control mage here. It's interesting, EGP grabbed the Rakan. I was asking for engage. This is a form of that will start fights for them. Don't have any tank yet, though. So they are going to need to blow up this mid-game. If we go late, it's going to be rough. There's a lot of members over on EGP that are just going to get one shot.
I am so happy to see Viper on Wukong. That is a really fun pickup for him. Just the aggression you can have with it, getting into the late game with the team fights. Oh, there's the Zoe. I would hate to be EG like 25, 30 minutes into this game. The Jax response. All right, this is going to be a fun game. Let's go. Jax versus Wukong in the top lane. 5 Fire Zoe back on the map. Now this is pod racing.
I'm having Lone Ranger flashbacks, Matt. 5 Fire Zoe is so good, and with this draft, he's pretty much guaranteed an opportunity to get to the stage where he's going to be able to one-shot people. I'm very scared if I'm EGP. You are relying on something to happen during the mid-game from either Shiro or Surti being able to step up, get out ahead.
I mean, if Surti gets ahead, that's fantastic for the side of EGP. You have a huge scaling in the Jax. The problem is usually keeping him alive, but if you get a big enough lead, that's not going to be a problem. You're going to have the engage from the Rakan to charm everyone. Jax just starts bonking with the lamp.
If the problem is this isn't teamfight tactics, right? If Surti, maybe Surti gets like a massive lead, but I simply don't believe Surti can solo carry versus Senna, TK, Zoe in late game. And I don't see anyone else on this team that is going to be able to change that for me. EGP do have a path to victory. It is through mid-game team fighting, earning out that lead, but the onus is on them to achieve it. If I'm over on NoOrg, I'm feeling very good out of this draft.
Yeah, they just have to make it to the late game, but for EGP, you know, feel like you're not giving Surti the respect on that name he deserves, because Surti is that mechanical monster. He is that bloodthirsty top laner. He could be the one to execute on this and finally knock Viper down out of that throne of top lane. I'm hoping he can. Bring us to game 3.
Show us the Jax. Show me the Jax facts.
Did you know that Jax's lamp makes a very satisfying bonk on the TPA skin?
That should be one of the, like, middle of your screen text things.
It's advertising skins.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's in the benefit, and anyone who hasn't heard that song, go look it up. It's fantastic.
It's basically a song. Music to your ears. Early game will be slow and steady across the map. Nobody taking any risks, as we expected. This is a late game game.
A late game indeed. Shiro and Mist are chilling in mid. All right. I am curious about what that was.
Just hanging out.
Yeah. You know, just talking to Aspect before the game. Little known fact, if you are playing with Discord overlay synced up with the game, standing closer makes the volume louder.
What?
No, not at all. I'm glad I sold it to you, though. That was my biggest
I was
hope.
like, this is incredible. 5 Fire will play aggressive into Aspect to start this off. That would actually be really useful for, like, bot lane duos.
Yeah.
I want to be able to talk most clearly to the person I'm playing with.
It'd be really funny if we were just talking, then I heard you getting quieter and quieter. I'm like, you're Roman, huh?
That would be how that would go. I think that would improve your experience, though.
A little bit.
Mist and Shiro playing safe in this lane will be able to poke out and I think win a lot of these trades during the early game.
Yeah.
But as value gets bigger, that will change. Ooh, that's a good route.
That's a lot of damage. Flash away from Shiro. He is so low. So is Mist. Already, value just taking it home.
Those trades were going good.
Yeah.
Then you land the root, and Shiro, I believe, carries it over to Mist, which isn't great. And just
Save
like
me.
that, EGP are behind.
They've regen though. I mean, that is worth noting. Shiro did have to pop the potion, but Mist, if you can land those Qs, is going to be able to give heals over to Shiro. So it's not the end of the world. There's some sustain the match. Tomio.
Oh.
I get so nervous when I see players doing that at low HP. I know they still have the smite, but I forget that they're not me. Yeah, I forget that they're not me, and they wouldn't make the mistake of not smiting and dying. I am far from a jungle main, so. Fire finds that root. The sleep on the aspect goes night-night for a few seconds and takes half his health.
So, your early gameplay all going to no org. Not a good sign for EGP, but also no significant advantages earned.
Still could be the top lane lead, TJ. It's even.
Stunned a clone. Tomio is trying to get the scuttle on top side and has done so, which means it is scuttle for scuttle across the map.
Tomio's not going for it. It's warded though. Oh! Tomio's so smart. Trying to bait it.
Oh! Uh-oh. Viper, I don't know about this.
There's the proper 2v2. Counter-Strike lands the double stun, but it doesn't force the re-engage. Surdy is going on the back foot, down to a quarter HP, and will survive.
And very, very nearly finds the second stun.
Uh-oh. Here comes Fire. This is the roaming trio we were talking about game one.
Warded.
This is what you're afraid of.
It's warded. So EGP played smart. Very good ward defensively there, and EGP do not lose anything. But yeah, this is what no org do. Control the map and then play into it. Constantly bringing their mid lane up towards that top side. You will end up with 3 players up there fairly consistently. And part of the reason why you're getting more of that this game is because it is into a Jax on the top side.
Okay, and he goes in, finds the stun on the Aspect. Aspect with the re-engage. Tomio looking for more. Fire will answer with a little bit of damage of his own. Aspect is so low. 2 more autos will do it. There's the first blood for Fire. Engage comes out from Mist, finds Big. But that'll be the end of the engage. EGP lose 1.
And this is so well played by Big to be in this lane. It gets really scary if Big isn't there, because all of a sudden you don't have enough safety for Fire to retreat through, having burned both their summoners. But Big, with the perfect TP, really good map awareness, is able to show up and guarantee that there's an escape. This is something you'll see a lot from No Org. They play really well around the Tahm Kench. They play really well around any kind of global movement. But Big on his Tahm Kench, for now using the TP and later using the Abyssal Voyage, will always be where he needs to be.
Mm-hmm. One of the strengths of No Org, talking to their coach, the number one thing he said that was the reason they got so far, the reason they keep placing number 1. It's all about that teamwork. The teamwork and resilience to just keep going through the struggles they had at the beginning of the tier 1s organizationally. Keeping that mental strong, keeping that teamwork as the focus of the team. Here comes the engage.
Oh! Mist is the one to carry the root pack that time.
Sure. A lot of trouble.
Yeah, doesn't appreciate that. Here comes Anda, and there's no more to spot him out, so...
I love the offensive bear stance swap.
Man.
Just standing there, not moving, but is like, I could stun you. Oh. Surdy's really doing a good job.
Yeah, Viper did not win that exchange, but has still, of course, burned the cooldown on the counter-strike, so... that guarantees a little bit of wave clear. Drake, in the meantime, picked up. Purely off of their stanciness.
Most important stat in the game. There goes the Pal Star. Aspect takes so much. Mist with the flash re-engage. Fire's in trouble. Flashes out to safety. Nearly falls from the ignite. Beautiful play from Mist and Aspect.
He's going back, baby.
No! Don't do it. You have so much to live for.
Doesn't have TP, so this is going to cost Fire some CS at the very least. Good to see that roam from Mist find value. Or find 5-fire. Value's still in the bot lane, but you know what I mean.
I was going to say, just letting you figure that one out.
And is going to roam up here.
I love it. I can't go for the engage.
Tomio?
Find the Phoenix.
Stun will land. Tomio around the side.
Oh my
right
god!
Out of the bush comes Viper, and Tomio is just gone. Surty manages to survive on very low HP, and Mist will roam up alongside Aspect. Maybe they can turn something here. Ando with the flash will deny them that opportunity. And No Org win out the trades up top. 1 kill to none. Gold lead is growing.
So close, but really well played by No Org. EGP underestimated the damage that Anda can put out this early into the game. Really, all you need is just that Phoenix Tiger stance, and you are putting out numbers. Unfortunately, Tomio, his health bar is made of those.
All things are made of numbers.
Too metaphysical for me.
Numbers are just made up.
See him on my screen. That's real enough for me. Don't do this to me.
Good thinking, Matt. Rift Herald has been started on the top side by Anda. And I believe 30 does have a ward in that pit.
Aspect, very careful.
Mist!
Mist, what are you doing? Like, I respect... You're gonna get spotted!
Big wins this.
Look at the slap fight. Oh my god. Tomio sure doesn't, though. He's got to get out. That's a lot of damage. Tomio in trouble. There goes the root. Big trying to do as much damage as possible.
Really good true shot.
Yeah, Tomio makes it out.
I don't know if it had any effect, but sure hit like 3 people there. Dive will come in the top lane for Surty. He's burned Counter-Strike, and thus this fight is over.
Yeah. Really don't want to take that. Viper's caught up. That gank really helped. Good turnaround from Anda, and Viper put Viper ahead. Now has the CS lead. And Wukong starting to scale up, starting to get towards some damage items, whereas Surty still really just has the Sheen and the Longsword. It's a hell of a lane matchup to be down an item in.
Yeah, poor Shiro and Mist. Just hanging out all the way back here as well.
Yeah.
With not really any way back into this.
You can't walk up. Like, there's no way to walk up.
When Shiro completes their first item, they'll be ready to scale, Matt.
Fun fact, Senna starts ready to scale. So,
yeah.
We'll be a little behind on that front.
Batteries included. Here comes the roam from Anda, round the side. Oh, prepping in case there's a ward in the bush so they can blast code over the top, but EGP have fallen victim. Okay.
Mist is so good.
The reason they were ready for that, despite the...
Oh! Surty, what are you doing? No!
Okay.
Stop the back. We'll take that.
Wild. So the reason they were ready for that, the reason Surty was able to make that play happen, was because they do have a very clever ward just in that bush, or in that river. And No Org did not know about that, so despite all their clever ward-avoiding play, ran the blast gun. EGP do set up the TP counter. Nobody dies, and that is a win. Surty did burn their TP, though. So, sad times for Surty. I played ARAM with Surty once. I really struggled to get that story out. I wasn't sure how to start it, but he is exactly the kind of person that you're thinking of when you see this play. He is just so unbelievably confident. He was like, hey, I'm Surty, I'm the best top laner. I'm like, okay. I'm in. Do you know him personally? Is it cool? Can you say it like that? Yeah, because it's his IGN. I can't say his first name because I don't know it. I met 5-Fire in an ARAM once as well. That was weird. Surty will roam around the top of this. A little bit of hide-and-go-seek played in our top lane. And Surty comes out on top, I guess. Able to access the wave a little bit longer.
He did not decide to seek, TJ.
He was like, you're hiding? That's all right with me. Which doesn't normally win you games of hide and seek.
This time it might. No Org once again going for this dragon. They've got an incredible early lead, but as you were thinking, TJ, they're just trying to seed the fights. They know they will not win at this point. They're waiting.
Here's my... So I agree
that
EGP probably don't win this fight. But here's my problem. You're betting that you're going to at some point scale into a game versus Sanity K.
Oh, Jesus.
Sanity K is Zoe.
Yeah. Important addition there. Oh, my God. Aspect with the fast fingers, predicting that one. Seeing it from 1,000 miles away, which is conveniently the range from which Zoe can engage.
Crypt Herald will arrive here to take the turret despite the best efforts of that true shot barrage. As always, no Org capable of doing two things at once. I don't know why Value got devoured there, but he did.
Taxi service, you know, sometimes your feet get tired, and you need an abyssal demon frog to carry you away in his stomach. Oh, God. Yeah.
I don't know why Aspect stayed on the map either. We'll be punished for that. Tomia was flanking, but there was always going to be presence.
It was really good from Value. The Dawning Shadow just from nowhere. That's the funniest thing about watching a Dawning Shadow, because even in professional, there is like a half second after you see it, especially when you're distracted by backing, where you actually have time to move. You have to start moving the moment the animation comes out if it's lined up exactly with you. So, really feel for Aspect seeing his life flash before his eyes.
Yep, no flash. Believe Rocket Jump was on cooldown, which is what prompted the Dawning Shadow.
Well, even that has that animation to like, oh my God, Surdy, great engage, but now going to get re-engaged on by Viper. Ultimates pop by both sides.
EGP are now trying to set something up. You can see this in the way Tomio's playing the map. They're dedicating a lot of resources to roaming up and trying to find these individual picks, but as I talked about, I think they have just waited too long, because at this point, not only is Value doing damage, but so is Fire. And that all kind of adds up. No Org are going to be able to step up a little more aggressively now. Control much more of the map. Warded. I think Fire was just as surprised as Aspect.
There goes the control ward. But yeah, I think Surdy needs to get out of this one. There's the counter-strike, finds the stun. Not going to be able to jump away just yet. There's the ward. Surdy finds it out. Woo! Thank you.
I didn't think the true shot volume was loud enough, so I was trying to communicate the emotions I felt inside of me.
Oh, okay. I thought that was you trying to do the sound effects. It's less of a woo and more of a shoo.
Anda!
Oh, God. Anda just runs in, flashes for the stun. That's the Anda I like to see. Fire coming around from the flank with the sweeps. Mist in trouble, jumps out just in time. Shiro firing away from the backline. Tomio's in a little bit of trouble. Steep eaten by Mist. Uh-oh. Fire getting engaged on Surdy into the backlines, looking for Big. Has the counter-strike, finds the stun. Onto Fire. Big saves him. Fire in trouble. Finds his way out, but no Org. Don't find anything off that play either.
Big is such a good support player.
Oh, yeah.
Able to save the day there when Fire's about to fall. Really exciting aggression from Anda, playing with the total confidence the Value was going to be able to heal him up and win that skirmish, and they very nearly found the kills. But EGP play around the edges of that fight very well, and it's at times like these that you're reminded they still do have that Ezreal, who is going to be presumably power spiking at some point in the future. They still do have the Tristana. It's not like they're not going to be present in this late game, especially with the Jax on the top side of the map as well, but it's not going to be easy. They need to find access either to the backline at the start of the fight, or like we had in that fight, be able to do so much damage to the front line via poke.
Surdy going for this, but does not have any wards to hop to.
I liked the jump away from the Sleepy Trouble bubble. That was fun.
Yeah. I mean, Surdy's got the mechanics. Unfortunately, like you said, the map has sort of outpaced him. He was holding onto that top lane very well. Was denying Viper the lead for a long time, but now Viper is outscaled, and Surdy does not have access to the free farm he would like to be able to scale up, to be able to become a threat. That second item. Shiro's in a lot of trouble. Oh
my god! 5 fire over the wall. Woo! From across the map. Shiro plays DDR well enough. He's able to stay alive through all of this. 5 fire's going to keep going, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. Very siege-heavy composition here from NoOrg. It is so hard to play into.
And guess what's happening during this time, of course? And is just racking up another Drake. This will put NoOrg onto Soul points.
18 minutes in, we only have 4 kills. This has felt like such a more action-packed games than the 4 kills would imply. We've had like 17 fights, just nobody dies.
Yeah, but NoOrg are just doing the same thing. I think EGP are playing into it better.
Yeah.
They're not taking as many risks as they did during Game 1. During Game 1, there were options where NoOrg, had a clearly dominant fight and EGP opted into it, and they haven't done that here, but they're also not creating their own opportunities versus NoOrg.
Yeah, that's really the position where they're going to be struggling here, is because you can find those... They went for those little plays up top, but we're not able to find them consecutively or successfully to the point where you can get a kill, and now Surdy is going to be in a lot of trouble to re-engage from Viper and Anda. 1 dead Jax.
Yeah, Surdy stepping up to get a little bit more aggressive down here on the bottom lane, and NoOrg are a team you can't do that against. They will punish him.
I think it was a fine theory, just didn't have the vision around to support it.
No,
he had no vision.
He had no turret to retreat behind. There was no way to get out of that if it was punished, and you have to give NoOrg that kind of respect. But I think it does speak to a kind of frustration, which is we can't just keep sitting here and losing. I mean, look at the gold lead at this point. It's very understandable that the EG players are starting to get a little bit antsy, but the opportunities have to be more designed than that.
Yeah. Because their original plan, it seems clear to me, I'm always happy to be wrong, was scale up to mid, don't lose too much, seed a few objectives, but come back into it in the mid game. Get those 2-item power spikes. Go for fights. But it's 20 minutes. The mid game is past. You want to see that completed Muramana all the way stacked up around that 17 to 20 minute mark, and we may still get that. But now you're playing into people that are approaching 2 items. You're playing into a scaled up Senna. You see 76 souls already, looking towards that 80 mark, and that is where Senna starts to be untenable to play against, especially as an Ezreal. She will just kill you before you find a Q.
Yeah. I mean, there clearly is a version of this that works. Like I said during the draft, though, EGP set themselves up to need to win teamfights proactively, otherwise they lost. And they weren't able to deliver on that, haven't been able to deliver on it, failing a miracle. I think we are starting to look at that NoOrg versus C9 Academy matchup in the winners' finals.
I mean, you gotta look for the obvious Hail Mary attempt. It's coming in 2 minutes. It's a Mountain Soul, gonna be available from NoOrg. If
that's not a Hail Mary, Matt, that's a Sword of Damocles.
Okay, whatever. I get my analogies mixed up. They've all got names.
The Hail Mary is the football play where you're like, oh, we're going to lose, and you just throw a football as hard as you can across the pitch and hope somebody catches it.
That's what you do with True Shot Barrage against that Mountain Soul. That's what I meant. I totally didn't get the words confused in my head. I would never.
5 fire pushing in. This is going to be another turret, very efficiently sieged. NoOrg's composition is so good at this. This is a composition that they have run. Oh, dive in.
Mist finds the taunt. Aspect dives in. Big with a beautiful save. Mist is a little bit of trouble, but so is Firefire. Finds the way out into the back of the fight. Teleport coming in from the side. And Viper looking for Surdy. Surdy finds the kill onto Firefire. There goes Big. No Org are starting to be pushed out of the fight. Value gets jumped onto by Surdy. Surdy now finally falls. Aspect looking for more, but Value still safe. The double kill comes out from Viper. Mist is low. Mist falls. The triple kill from Viper.
And it will keep going. Shiro underneath the turret, forced to hide behind its Value. In the meantime, Tomio was just run across the entire map by Anda. Did manage to escape, miraculously enough. But no Org trade the fight, win it out, take the map control. EGP do take their swing and they play it well. As we said during Game 1, they are clearly talented players. They have the teamfight communication. But that teamfight was too late. Despite everything being right, I mean, you're not going to get a better opportunity than that. They correctly identified that no Org didn't have the resources to immediately teamfight. They weren't able to convert it into enough.
We're able to find some kills better than they have been able to manage so far, so at least looking at the right direction, looking at the right plays, but they're down.
Here we go, though. And this is the cost of losing that teamfight, is how do you contest this? Muramana is complete for Shiro. True Shot is up. Hail Mary will not be thrown. Mountain Soul is complete.
There's going to be the replay of that fight, though. This was where EGP thought they found the pick. They find the charm onto Firefire, onto Value. And they even find Firefire. First time this game, they have caught him out in the middle of a team fight and gotten a kill.
Yep. And they get Big as well as he's trying to save the day. And maybe if you just pause the team fight here and run away, something happens. Instead, we're getting a replay in-game. And Abyssal Voyage provides an easy kill for no Org. They find Aspect in the top side. And what do you do now? No Org are just going to press on in.
They're looking for a little bit more. Mist finds a good engage, but there's just so much damage. There's nothing you can do. Tomio in trouble, goes golden. Gonna fall here to Firefire. Perfectly timed Battlestar. That should be the Baron.
That should be the Baron. No Org, again, you're not going to get half an advantage out of them. They don't ever rest on it. When no Org find the kill, they turn immediately to force more, at the very least siege an inhibitor. EGP throw, that was a Hail Mary. They throw a Hail Mary. And no Org gladly intercept it. Run it back all the way for a touchdown. See, I know enough about football to make a coherent analogy.
Sure. I know enough to fact check you, that's for sure. No Org do pick up the Baron buff now, and that was EG's last chance, feels like. Unless they can find a way to punish No Org in the last coming team fight, because believe me, it's going to be the last one. It's a Mountain Soul. It is a Baron. It is No Org with this insane siege composition. You have Firefire with Everfrost and the Event Horizon passive there. You're just doing a billion damage.
I don't know, man.
Every time you come in with Battlestar.
Mark your calendars. Like this No Org matchup in the upper bracket. I might be getting ahead of ourselves, but I don't think so. This No Org matchup in the upper bracket, if they're able to close out this series, is looking to be one of the most exciting ones this season. You have a Cloud9 team that play so quick and aggressive and are so good at adapting to whatever the game state brings to them. And a No Org team with such surgical precision, they never need to adapt. The game always goes their way, zero risks taken. I would pay money to see those two teams play, and it doesn't look like I'll have to.
A little bit longer on this game, though. Firefire takes down the outer turret. They're cleaning up the base of Evil Geniuses. Meanwhile, on the bot lane, Aspect pushing out, trying to get something done, trying to prevent the full incursion into the base, but it's not going to be enough. There goes Sleepy Trouble Bubble from Firefire.
Inhibitors to fall here is EGP in their second game of this series have just been shut out again by No Org. A team who does not, it seems, make mistakes. A team who makes the toughest of opponents look easy. A team who is representing amateur here at the Proving Grounds.
Mist goes in, tries to find the charm, lands on 2, but will not be enough to start a full-on fight. Tomio gets picked off by Value. There goes Mist into the fountain. Stays alive for the time being, so does Surdy, but the poke from NoOrg is ridiculous. There goes one Nexus tower, and EGP, last stand coming out now. Mist low, Mist falls, as does the second Nexus tower, and EGP can do nothing but look on. Fire finds Aspect. Surdy forced into the fountain. There's the teleport from Shiro. He's getting out of here. And so is EGP. NoOrg find it. The 2-0 all the way to the semifinals.
He's TPing to the upper bracket finals, Matt. Somebody stop him. Wow, it is terrifying to watch NoOrg play. That is my bow on top of that game. As I said earlier, if you do not have NoOrg on the shortlist for this event, for the finals itself, you're insane. That's not what I said. I was much nicer about it earlier.
Yeah, but now you've got the additional game. You know, you're feeling the adrenaline.
I've got proof.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, NoOrg showed us 2 very different games. Game number 1, they took as few fights as possible. They were like, okay, not going to bother fighting. I don't need to. This game, they found fights, they found angles early on, and they said, we can latch onto those. We can keep pushing for them. So let's take a look back at that game. At that series.
Anytime you find a strong opportunity in the early game with a composition like this, you take it. Because when Fire can find early opportunities on the Zoe here, that just means that you're going to be getting towards your late game that much sooner. And worst case, what you think are favorable opportunities go wrong, guess what? You still have the late game. Who cares? You guys set a top catch. Just do some damage control, you'll be fine. It's, again, a very composition-aware approach from NoOrg. They are not taking any more risks than they have to. There was this fight, and I'm gonna cut this fight out, pin it on my wall as a poster to demonstrate that EGP, this incredibly new roster, a ton of rookies, is so promising. I need to go back to the start of that fight and see how many gold they are behind, but it is rough. They are more than 10,000 gold behind at the start of that fight, and they still managed to find the opportunity, managed to correctly identify where their window is and punish it at least partially successfully. That's the kind of stuff that pro teams struggle with, and EGP, while they struggled this game, clearly demonstrate they have the potential to do much more. They're going to be playing now in the lower bracket. Fix that camera. They're going to be playing now in the lower bracket, and most importantly, all those players I hope will be moving around during the off-season. I hope to see more of them in the future. They are so sick.
We've got our Verizon Wireless interview. It's my turn to call it, TJ. Let me have this. We've got the interview with NoOrg Big. We're hitting into it right now.
Hey, Big, how are you doing? That was a really fun series for you guys, I imagine.
Yeah. I think it was easier than expected, honestly. We thought it was more challenging, but it turned out to be a stop both games.
I want to praise you for your game 1. That Galio looked really impressive. You were able to roam and control the map. Can you talk to me about how you, as part of that team, enforce the complete lack of opportunity that you give your opponents? Because we've seen this from a couple different NoOrg games where you just do not give a window for the other team to get into it. What are the communications like for that?
Usually when we try to not give windows, it's like maybe mostly me or like someone else, whoever realizes in the time, just saying like, don't fight guys, like we haven't seen them yet. This is the only time, like if we know we're bot side, for instance, and Viper's in the top by himself and we don't see them in bot side vision, we'll always say, Viper, it's only you, like don't do anything. And we'll just go from there and we'll keep reinforcing it until we see something.
I think one of my biggest questions about NoOrg is like, you guys never seem to end up struggling because you have all these crazy early games. You'll be like, this game, we don't really need to do anything. So just chill, I guess, and we'll get it in the late game. And then game number 2, for example, you guys found those opportunities, found those picks. Is there anything where you guys have said in the last couple of series, hey, we need to actually shore this up?
I think the only thing for us was like, for instance, last week's game, the first game we played, we're a bit sloppy, so we tried to change it up. So today we like warmed up a bit for the game so that we're just like in case we struggle, like don't let down on the comms, don't let down on the planning, stuff like that. So we reinforce basics a lot for us.
I've been talking you up on air. I keep saying that you're my favorite to win this tournament. But you're going to be facing the opponents that, everyone's been talking about. You've now locked your ticket to the upper brackets final. Congratulations, your opponent is Cloud9 Academy. Can you talk through that matchup for me? What do you see ahead of you there?
I would say it's hard because I feel like sometimes they're, I wouldn't say bad, but they're like lacking in their early games, or sometimes some plannings, or sometimes they even overagreed for certain things, right? So I think it all just comes down to whether or not we can control the way we play and make sure that we're not being forced on our wrong times, like just like this game, for instance, like we only did things where it's only our time. So if we keep that up, it'll be easy for us, I feel.
I want to ask one final follow-up question along those lines. I was talking about during the cast, you guys are like a caster's team. We love you guys because you're always making what looks like the right decision from the spectator POV. You're always doing the economy-efficient play that us casters and analysts love to see. Where does that come from on the team? Is that something you came into the season trying to do as a unit? Where did that style kind of emerge from?
I think we slowly grew into that. I took things, for instance, like my past team with Meteos, he would always prioritize taking a lot about enemy camps. So I try to steer towards that direction, especially if we can't play for towers or anything. So instead we'll play for camps. And if it's not a risky play, then either we'll go for that, or if it is risky, like it's too much of a flip, we'll just try to prioritize farming, and we'll be okay just like taking camps, taking it slowly.
Yeah, well, it's really scary to watch, and I'm wishing you luck as you advance in the bracket. Congratulations on your win today, and good luck.
Thank you.
That will close things out, Matt. I'm really excited because you always have this thing where we like build them up on air. We're like, wow, they're so smart, they're so intelligent, they're doing all these things, and then sometimes you interview teams, and they're like, I don't know, we're just winging it. So it's really cool for me that Big is there, able to talk about why they're making those decisions, able to talk about how they're making those decisions. This is the kind of team that is thinking everything through in that way, and that's, frankly, very, very impressive to see at the amateur level here at NA.
And especially when it comes from multiple
He said that C9 were sloppy, and I just think we need to put a pin in that.
We'll just remember that going forward, see how that series go. We're going to take a look at the bracket, of course, the results of today's games. NoOrg took a 2-0, as did C9.
Oh, you okay?
So we're going to see them. Look, I had to burp, okay? You didn't have to point it out. I got through it.
You could have just said I forgot. Was it Cloud 8? Was it Cloud 9? I didn't remember for a second. You could have just played it that way. I would have.
I thought they renamed to Cloud 10 because they performed so well today, but they still stuck with Cloud 9. So we're going to see them in exactly a week's time. That is going to be interesting for me because we saw part of C9's success today was because of how well they planned out their early game, how well they planned out their team-specific strategies. Having a week of prep against NoOrg should help a little bit going into that series. I'm hoping finally we're going to see NoOrg up against the ropes. They're finally going to be struggling.
I mean, like I said, I would pay to watch that, but we got other matches that I would pay to watch in the meantime. This is going to be the lower bracket, and of course, these games are going to start tomorrow on the 16th. TSM versus FlyQuest, 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians, the knockout stages. And we have some really impressive Academy rosters down here that are struggling to stay in this game. If you took a screenshot of this lower bracket and passed it to somebody a week ago, they would have been like, what? No way. All these teams are down in the lower bracket. We're gonna have to lose some of our precious children here. This is gonna be very sad.
Yeah, It's going to be sad, but it's going to be incredible games. Of course, you know, we saw 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians last night. We saw them play incredibly well. We saw them take these crazy series. So I know that matchup specifically is one that I'm most looking forward to on the night. But TSM versus Fly promises to be a banger as well. So that'll all be tomorrow, starting at 3 p.m. PST. Almost at 6 p.m.
Same time,
PST.
same place.
That's the wrong time zone. Yep, same time, same place here on twitch.tv/academy. From us, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much to our lovely production team. We hope you enjoyed the games, and we hope you'll come back tomorrow to enjoy some more.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
You get so much more than this, a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans, like Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN+, as well as Discovery+, with a Galaxy S21 Plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best, only from Verizon.